computer. Hello and welcome to the Work It series. Today we're doing Share It, which is interviewing 101. I want to welcome all of you who are here with me live and also all of those of you who might be listening to this recording in the distant future. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about interviewing and how to prepare for interviews. First, I want to start off, as I always start off, by explaining who I am and who we are at Dornsife Career Pathways. My name is John Folger. I am a career advisor with the Dornsife Career Pathways office, meaning I work with students one-on-one. I have a podcast that I do for career topics, informational interviews, and Career Pathways is the career center specific to Dornsife. We are like the Central Career Center, only we work specifically with Dornsife students. So that's who we are, that's what we do, that's who I am, that's what I do. I highly recommend you go to our website, dornsife.usc.edu career pathways, or if you just Google USC Dornsife Career Pathways, we are the first option that shows up so that you can see all of the resources, all of the things that we are doing. We do a ton of stuff. So please check us out as well. Follow us on Instagram. I know you guys have a ton of things that you're following on social media. You probably don't want to add another one, but I do recommend that you do. Because we post a lot of very cool events. We have a lot of tips and tricks that we post to our Instagram page. It is a good place for you to follow to just kind of be kept up to date with different career topics and USC events that relate to your careers. It's something that you can just kind of have on your feed, and it is something very helpful. So take a picture of this QR code. We also have it at the end of the presentation, or follow us at USC Dornsife CP on Instagram. Something I super recommend to all of you. So today we're going to be talking about 3 different goals. Learning about different interview styles, identifying how to answer interview questions, and 3, understanding pre- and post-interview etiquette. So how to prepare, how to answer, and all the things in between. Interviews are kind of my jam. I love interviewing. I love being interviewed. I love doing the interviews. I love everything about it. And we're going to be talking about why I love it and how you can hopefully learn to love it too. So, what does it mean when you get a job or internship interview? This means that you are liked by the company. The company has seen you in what I, John, consider to be what technically is your most boring form, which is your resume and your cover letter. That is no personality. Your resume and your cover letter are just the facts of who you are and what you've done. And so at the base core, this company is interested in you enough based on those base facts that they want to get to know you on a more personal level. They feel like you could potentially be a good fit for them. No company in the history of company or positions or ever has ever interviewed somebody who they absolutely knew was not going to be a good fit for the position. That's a waste of their time. It's a waste of your time. So if you are getting an interview, that means they like you. At some level, they like you. They want to get to know more about you. They want to hear your story. So that is where you need to start with prayer. That's where you need to start with preparing for an interview, is the knowledge and the confidence that you have something that they want. You have skills, you have talents, there's something about you that they have read on your resume or cover letter or however else you put in that application where they want to know more. So go into these interviews, number 1, with that confidence that you belong in that interview room. So some different interview styles that you can expect. You can expect a screening interview. This is typically done kind of over the phone or maybe a very short initial meeting to just see right off the bat, screening you out, is this somebody that we want to continue talking to? Next, you are probably going to see some sort of variation of these next types of interviews, a one-on-one, a committee or panel interview, a group interview, behavioral interview, Zoom or video. Those are the ones that are typically the next steps. Also, case and technical interviews, those are more specific to certain industries. If you're considering going into consulting or kind of a tech-heavy field, such as programming, web development, you can expect these case and technical interviews where they're measuring, can you do the job? Do you have the skills? Do you have the techniques? So those are very specific, but the one-on-one, the committee, the group, the behavioral, and the Zoom and video interviews, those are just different styles. A committee or panel interview is sometimes a little bit intimidating because you are not talking to a single one-on-one person, you're talking to multiple people. But some advice on kind of helping you with that, give me 1 second. Something in helping you prepare for either for committee or panel interviews is the knowledge that the panel isn't going to be talking to you all at once. It's going to be one-on-one. One person's going to ask a question, and then the next person on the panel is going to ask a question, and then the next person on a panel. So if you find yourself in a committee or a panel interview, treat it as if you are in a one-on-one interview. Don't let it overwhelm you that there are multiple people there. Just treat it as if you were talking to a single person, because that's what you're going to be doing, one at a time. Same thing with those group interviews. If there are other people with you, you're going to have your time to shine. Focus on yourself. Be friendly and cordial to all those around you in the group, but really don't overthink it. Treat it, everything comes back to this kind of one-on-one interview is what it comes down to. This last kind of interview style, lunch/dinner interview, this is something you're typically going to see at either a higher level or it's going to be a later interview. It's probably going to be your third, fourth, fifth interview where they're taking you out to lunch or dinner and really kind of getting to know you as a person. So there's multiple interview styles, but the baseline is this, that the purpose of an interview is for you to answer their questions and for them to get to know you. Can you do the job? Are you going to fit in with the company culture, no matter the format or the style that it is? A good kind of way to prepare and get to know what is going to be out there. There's a website called The Muse. So www.themuse.com. There is interview questions and answers. They post every year, and about every 6 months or so, they update this, the top 50 or 60 most common interview questions and how they would recommend that you answer them. Their top questions are always going to be, tell me about yourself, walk me through your resume, why do you want to work for this company, tell me about a challenge or conflict you faced at work and how you dealt with it. Just these very common types of questions. I recommend you utilize, whether it be the Muse Guide or some other resources, to practice. That's something we're going to talk about a lot today in our presentation, is practice, 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 practice. There are two big, if you take nothing else from this presentation, I should say, take these two big recommendations. Number one, half of your interview is the nonverbals. How are you sitting? How are you speaking? How are you talking? How are you answering? Are you confident? Are you scared? Are you shy? What is happening to you non-verbally? That is half of the preparation, is getting into the mindset that you belong there. There's a fine line between confident and overconfident. You don't want to be overconfident. You don't want to be entitled. You are not entitled to the position, no matter what. You're not entitled to it. But going in and sharing, these are experiences that I've done. These are reasons why I think I would be a good fit for your organization. That is confidence. You're just sharing with them the facts. So that's number one recommendation. If you forget everything else, remember confidence. And number two is practice. Practice to yourself, practice out loud, practice with your roommate, come to a career center, talk to me, and we will do a mock interview and we will practice. Practice, practice, practice. Because the more you practice, the more comfortable you are going to be giving authentic answers. So that is the second portion of an interview. First portion is the nonverbal, how you're answering it. The second portion is, what are you saying? Do you have the knowledge? Do you have the skills? Throw out of your mind, I need to have the right answer, and put into your mind, I need to be authentic, and I need to share how I would solve this problem. I need to share how I have these skills. That's what you need to remember. A sample interview process when it comes to interviews, just so you can kind of prepare. This is all part of the preparation. The Muse will teach you the questions that you need to prepare for. You can go and Google other how to prepare for XYZ position. Practice, practice, practice. But it is also important to know what sort of interview process you're probably going to be getting into. Entry level is typically one round and is 30 to 60 minutes. It's just right there. You have probably done this if you've ever been at kind of an entry level position. You've worked at a position in part-time position in college or high school, or you had an internship where you met with a single person. They kind of decided from there, right there, we're going to either give you the position or not. Entry level to mid-entry level are typically a little bit longer. There's probably multiple rounds. Typically, it is one-on-one or some sort of kind of panel interview. There are assessments, presentations, cases. So as you're kind of moving up in your career path, expect those. And then mid to senior level, those are going to be a little bit more intense. Multi-day, there's going to be presentations. It's going to be social. It's going to be lunch and dinner and cases. That's going to be pretty intense. Typically, in the next, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, you are going to be interacting mostly with the entry level or mid-level interview styles, where it's either 30 to 60 minutes, it's multiple rounds. That's what you can kind of expect. So, interview types and questions. With types and questions, before we even get into answering a question, I want to reiterate this body language thing. This is what we call the solar technique. You can call it whatever you want. You can forget the name of it. But what you need to remember is sitting squarely. So sitting forward, square, even if it's on a virtual interview. Sitting open, leaning forward, making eye contact, relaxed body, relaxed posture, and being excited. That's something else with kind of body language, those nonverbals, is if you are calm, confident, and excited, you will make the interviewer calm, confident, and excited. That's something that you need to remember. The people on the other side of that table often are very kind of anxious and nervous about this process as well. So if you are kind of giving them the permission of, hey, we're all just answering questions, we're having fun, I'm going to talk to you, you're going to talk to me, that's going to be the attitude that they're going to go into the interview with as well. That's what they're going to remember. If this is a person that put me at ease, this made me comfortable, this made me confident that this person would fit in well. So that's what you want, the kind of attitude you want. And a great way to do that is via nonverbal body language, just being open, sitting forward, being excited, making eye contact, that sort of attitude with it. And then they will mirror off of you, which is what you want. We talked about the different interview types already. I don't know why I have a multiple slide of that. I apologize. Common interview type questions. So we're getting into the meat and potatoes of how to prepare for different interview types. The different kind of general types are introductory or personal questions, experiential questions, behavioral questions. That's a huge portion, which we'll dive into, and then case and technical questions. So, for example, some common intro, experiential, and fit questions are the following. Tell me about yourself. Every interview I have ever been a part of on both sides of the table starts with this question. Tell me about yourself. So how do you answer this question? What they want is just a little bit about you. So I'll give an example of how I answer this question. Hello, my name is John Folger. I'm originally from Pocatello, Idaho. I got my undergraduate degree in psychology from Utah State. I did my graduate degree in K through 12 school counseling. After my time at Utah State, I then went on to work in the Office of Academic Review and Retention at University of Southern California, USC, and then I transferred over to the Dornsife Career Pathways team. My kind of pride and joys, what I really focus in on, is helping students learn, helping them succeed, and helping them figure out their career goals, because I was the exact same way. My first job was working at a roller skating rink, which my family owned. So I understand the purpose and the drive of hard work and having a variety of different experiences, which I hope to help other students have as well. So that was an example of tell me about yourself. I didn't give them my entire life history. I gave them a couple of fun facts. I'm from Idaho. I got my degrees in Utah. I worked at a skating rink. giving them those fun facts to remember me by, but I also was just kind of giving them what they needed to know. Not more, not less. Typically, you want that answer to not be longer than about 30 seconds to a minute. The next kind of common questions are, what are your greatest strengths? Whenever you are given a question where they are looking for a specific answer, and that is very, very rare. And so I'll talk a little bit about that. They're looking for your greatest strengths, whatever you consider them to be, or your greatest weaknesses, or what is your favorite ice cream flavor? What is your favorite way to do a certain task? They're looking for a specific answer. It's your answer. They don't want, like, they're not asking for a specific thing in that way. They're asking for you to tell them, what are your greatest strengths? Whenever you are having an answer with a just very specific, this is what we want to know, you want to lead with that answer. So an example of this, if I am asked, John, what are your two greatest strengths? I would say, my two greatest strengths are my work ethic and my time management skills. I say my work ethic because blah, 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 blah. I say time management because of blah, 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 blah. In those kind of situations where it's, tell us your two greatest strengths, your two greatest weaknesses, your number one, whatever it is, give the answer first of hardworking, time management, whatever yours is. That's an example. And then give the context to it. That's a kind of a pro tip there. Why are you interested in this position? This is an excellent way to show that you have done your research into this position. You want to do your research in the position. This is an excellent way, if you are ever asked why you're interested in this position, why do you want to be a career advisor, whatever it is, why this? This is your chance to show off, I've done my research. I know what I'm talking about. This is why you should hire me, because I've put in the extra work to show you why I want this. What is your relevant experience? Sharing a little bit from your resume. Make sure you know what's on your resume. What is your preferred work environment? What this means is, do you enjoy working by yourself? Do you enjoy working in a group? Do you enjoy working in siloed kind of office or cubicles? Or do you like a more open concept where it's kind of more social and flowing? When asked, if you are asked about a particular work environment, you do want to do research, again, research and practice, to know what their work environment is. How are they kind of set up? Because if you are a person that likes cubicles and offices, and you're applying for a company that is very proud of their open concept, very social flowing interactions, that's you saying you want to work in a cubicle is not going to mix well with their company culture. So they'll probably not go with you. So be aware of what they're looking for. Same thing with preferred management style. You want to be very neutral with this. You want to give them an authentic answer, a true answer, being kind of neutral. You don't want to speak badly of any experience you've had in the past, even if it was a horrible experience. Just say, I had some experiences that didn't necessarily fit in with my preferred management style. And those things that I didn't prefer were X, Y, and Z. I know that I do enjoy X, Y, and Z. Now, those are some examples of how introductory questions, experiential questions, or fit questions will be asked. Before I move on, I want to point something out about myself, and hopefully it'll help you guys. As you can tell, when I get excited or interested or just kind of talking about things, my brain starts to work a little bit faster than my mouth, and I start stumbling over my words. That's something that I've had to learn about myself. I'm sure each and every one of you have your own kind of personality quirks and things that maybe you stumble over words, you forget words, whatever your thing is. What I want you to remember is that it's okay to be you. For me, I have had to learn in interview situations that I need to calm down my brain. I need to calm down my mouth so that when I am speaking, I intentionally speak just a little bit slower, a little bit more clearly, because I know if I stop doing that, I'm going to trip over my words, I'm going to get ahead of myself, and I'm not going to sound as professional. That's another reason to practice. So you can get to know your individual little quirks and you can overcome them or you can work around them, whatever they may be. in an interview setting, if you forget a word, if you stumble over a word, if you have some sort of mix up like that, it's okay. You can just acknowledge it, be like, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Let me get back in it. Take a beat and then get back in it. That's okay to do. That's not going to sink your interview. It is better that you just kind of acknowledge it or not acknowledge it, just kind of brush it off to the side. Don't stress about it. Don't worry about it and move on. It's okay to make little mistakes, but you just want to move on. And most importantly, you want to show your authentic self. So another big type of question that you may experience is behavioral question. Behavioral questions gauge how you would react to certain situations and how you would implement problem-solving skills. So how you know it's a behavioral question is anytime they use a phrase similar to, tell me about a time or instance, or tell me an experience you had, or how would you handle a certain situation? When you have those kind of behavioral, how would you behave in a scenario? We want to use the STAR method. We're going to be talking about the STAR method in just a second. It's very important. We'll get to the STAR method right now. It's very important that you know with behavioral questions, it doesn't have to only come from experiences that are directly related to the position you're interviewing for. I will use myself as an example again. If I am interviewing for a career advisor position, I don't have to use only past career advising experiences. I can pull from classroom, I can pull from different volunteer opportunities that I've had, I can pull from other work experiences that may not be 100% applicable. The most important thing, no matter where the experience comes from, is that you tie it into the position that you're applying for, and you tie it in the STAR method. So what the STAR method is situation, task, action, and result. So situation, an example of a situation is, this is what I was doing. I will give you an example. I'm asked a question of, tell me about a time when you had to resolve a conflict between yourself and a coworker. So the situation was, I was working in a previous position over at a different university at Utah State. We were working, this is the task, we were working to create a new kind of career handbook and pamphlet. So what we were doing was creating a new pamphlet handout, and my coworker had different opinions to me, but we still had to work together. So the actions that we took is we kind of had conversations. We disagreed, but we came to a kind of an agreement together that we would solve the problem together. And the result is we had a better guidebook. My ideas were not 100% correct. Their ideas were not 100% correct. But when we came together, when we resolved that conflict, we made a better guidebook. So in that example, I talked about the situation I was in, the task that I was doing, the actions that I took, and the results that came from those actions. You want to keep your actions and tasks and situation short, sweet, and to the point. They don't need all of your life story. They don't need all of the context. They just need the situation you were in, the task that you did, the actions that you took, and the results. Results speak incredibly loud. If we leave off results, it's only half of the picture. The situation, task, and action is really half, and the other half is the results, because that's what they're hiring you to do, to show your results. So if you are ever asked a question, to sum this portion up, if you're ever asked a question of, tell us about a time when you did X, Y, or Z, you want to follow the STAR method to answer that question. Tell them the situation, the tasks, what you were expected to do, the actions you took to complete that situation and task, and then the results of your actions. To practice some really good a really good resource. There we go. To practice interviewing. is a website called Big Interview. You can find Big Interview if you log into Handshake, you go to Career Center, you go to Resources, and then Big Interview. This is a fantastic way to practice if you don't have a roommate, friend, or somebody else who can practice with you. You cannot get into a career advising appointment fast enough for your interview, or just to kind of additionally practice. Big Interview is a fantastic resource. Utilize Big Interview. It is on Handshake, under Career Center, under Resources. So you have now had an interview. It is all set up. How do you prepare for it, and what do you do after it? So in order to prepare for an interview, we review the resume and cover letter you submitted for the position. Because you're probably tailoring your resume and cover letter, you want to know what you put on that resume and cover letter. Recall your experiences, articulate your skills, discuss your personality, abilities, interests, values, experience, and practice. Practice, practice, practice. You want your answers to sound as authentic and natural as you possibly can. You're just having a conversation with the interviewers. You want to avoid kind of sounding rote and memorized, because then they know that you are not being authentic with them. You're just kind of reading from a script, and they want your most authentic self. So practice, practice, practice. I personally recommend, when it comes to practice, that you do every question that you practice, whether it's tell me about yourself, or what are your greatest strengths and weaknesses, or how would you handle a certain situation. You answer the question in your practice, and then answer it a second time in a different way. That will give you practice and the ability to start thinking on your feet, to kind of adapt in the moment and be more comfortable in doing so. Before you get into an interview, you want to research. We talked about this already. Look on the job or internship description, the company website, LinkedIn, different websites, Glassdoor. Talk to people who work there, gain as much information as you possibly can about the position and the company, so that when they ask questions about why do you want to work for this company, you can give them specific answers. You can talk about specific management styles that you know they employ. You can talk about their mission statement and why that's important to you, or it can tie into questions you might have. Why do you guys do it this way? Your research, the more you research, the more you know. It's super important. Research is super, super important. So in your interview checklist, you want to wear appropriate attire. When in doubt, be more formal than less formal. Always a good sign. Bring a pen and paper, something to take notes. Have copies of your resume, just so if they need it, you have one. Arrive early, whether that is virtual or in person. You want to be a little bit early so you are calm, cool, collected, and ready. You're not rushing at the end. Make use of positive language, positive nonverbals. Be polite, turn off your cell phone, be calm and confident. You want to just kind of be ready. That's the number one thing. All of this checklist is that you are the most ready that you can possibly be for your interview. When we're talking about interview attire, again, we want to be more formal than less formal. Know the company culture. If you are applying for a big investment bank where they are very, very traditional, very, very formal, wearing a full suit and tie for men, or pantsuit or blouse or skirt for women, that's what you want to go for. If you are applying for a rock climbing gym, wearing a suit and tie would be very inappropriate for that. So match what is appropriate to the interview. When in doubt, better be overdressed than underdressed. Post-interview questions. So at the end of your interview, you always want to ask a question. Never, ever end an interview with, oh, nope, I don't really have any questions for you guys. Always have some sort of question. You can ask, what do you enjoy about working for the organization? You can ask how the individual success of that position is measured. How is success measured? How do you expect this company to grow and do better? You can ask them questions about what they asked you. What is your management style? What is your company environment like? You want to ask questions. Again, your questions can show that you've done research, that you're committed to this position, that you want to know more. But always have, I recommend about 3 to 5 questions just kind of prepared. If you don't get to all of your questions, that's okay. That's something you can send in a follow-up email. It's a really great way to keep the channels open. We'll talk about that in a second, but always have some sort of post-interview question prepared. Post-interview thank you sample. You want to always send a follow-up email. You want to let them know, hey, I really appreciate the time. It was a pleasure to meet with you about the position. This is a great time to follow up with additional questions you might have. I did have another question. How is XYZ done? Whatever it is, just acknowledging that they took time out of their schedule to interview you is just a good idea. It shows politeness, it shows consideration, and it keeps those channels of communication open. That's a great kind of additional question you can ask post-interview is, what are next steps? Always ask that question. And what is a good way to contact you, whoever it is, doing the interview, if I have additional questions or concerns? That's kind of what you want to be doing. When you don't get the job, you still want to follow up send a follow-up message. Something to the effect of, you want to be gracious, you want to be polite, you don't want to be like, why didn't I get the job? You just want to kind of show your gratitude of, it was a pleasure to meet with you. Thank you for letting me know of my application status. While I regret not being able to join the team, I'm grateful for the opportunity. Please keep me in mind. You want to show your gratitude. You don't want to burn that bridge, because it might be later on they do have a position that they're like, oh, we interviewed with this person. They did a really great job. We want to know more about them. We'll bring them back. So send a follow-up, even if you don't get the job, and just kind of communicate with them. When declining an offer, so maybe you've done multiple interviews, you have multiple job offers, and you can only choose one. When declining, be gracious and thank them for the opportunity. Express tactfully why you're declining. Communicate with them basically how you would want to be communicated with. Just like how you want to be told, like, hey, you're not going to be getting the job. Do the same thing to companies as well. Thank them for their time, thank them for their consideration, and just, you don't have to give them all of your reasoning. You just want to basically tell them, I've decided to go in a different direction. I appreciate your time and your consideration. A sample of this would be, thank you very much for the position offer. I really appreciate the time. I've accepted another position that is closer fit for my professional goals, and I am unfortunately no longer available for this role. That's all you need to say. You don't need to give them your life story, or they suck and you would never work for them and they had a terrible interview. You just kind of want to tell them, thank you for your time. I'm going a different direction. That's all you need to say. When accepting a job offer, you want to thank them for their time. If you have questions, follow via email or phone as much as you possibly can. Email. Always great to have a paper trail. Over the phone, voice is great, but a paper trail is even better for the future. Ask for next steps and be ready to respond in a timely manner. Now, let's say, hopefully this happens to you guys, if you have multiple job offers, determine the timeline. Ask employers when you need to tell them by. Reach out to your first choice and say, hey, I've been made an offer. Can I have a status for you? Or, oh, how can we figure this out so I can give answers to everyone else? Proceed with accepting or declining as you get more information. So it is possible, and I recommend you apply to many, many places. You can interview from multiple places. You don't have to go one at a time. Just know the more interviews and job offers you get, it's going to be harder to juggle. And whenever they're interviewing, they want to know as soon as possible. So typically you want to give them an answer, whether you're accepting or declining, within 24 to 48 business hours. So if they let you know by Friday, you want to let them know by Monday. If they call you on a Tuesday, you want to let them know by Thursday, that sort of thing. That is everything for our short presentation on Interviewing 101. I want to recommend that you give us a follow on Instagram so that you can follow for all more tips, tricks, events that are coming up with Dornsife Career Pathways. Again, you can scan this QR code, or you can follow us at USC Dornsife Career Pathways. Thank you so much for joining us. I recommend, if you are joining us live, that you stay on. so you can ask your questions in person and we can chat some more. For those of you who are listening virtually and or listening to this recording is what I meant. If you're listening to this recording, thank you so much for listening. We hope to see you in person soon.